Hey folks, as you can see, I'm live doing the full moon in Libra forecast. As it says, full moon, full reset, Libra magic. The crossroads of connection between love, truth, the path ahead. As you see, we have this full moon. It's in Vishakha Nakshatra, which is symbolized by a sort of fork in the road. Vishakha is where we're choosing a path. And it's usually that path where we are elevating beyond just our relationships and even the sort of delusion that comes from projecting onto others, and choosing a more spiritual path where we are looking to integrate our, delusions, as Libra becomes Scorpio, and then becomes Sagittarius, and then the soul becomes liberated. So this nakshatra of Vishakha, where we have this full moon, is very pivotal in that spiritual growth, particularly beyond the attachment and illusion to others. So these are the things I'm going to be talking about today with this full moon. It's happening May 12th. As you can see, this is a chart here. I'm also going to be doing very quickly here Jupiter and Gemini forecast that's going to be setting the tone for the next year. As you see, Jupiter is also about to go into Gemini, and I'll talk about that, of course, as part of this update as well. But I am doing a free forecast. You can opt in to get that either live or the recording. You can go and do that. And of course, that's also going to be integrated into my member site here, which you can join at YouTube, and it'll just be a offering as well at the 5D level. So anyway, these are big times ahead, and you can see there's still a lot of planets there in Pisces. We still have Venus, Saturn, and Rahu are in Pisces. Venus is the ruler of Libra. So we still have a lot of that kind of Pisces illusion happening as we make that shift into more focused and dynamic energy. And as you see here, it says, make sure to subscribe and get notified. That is very important. Leave a positive comment as well, and join the channel, of course. But as you see here, we have the Sun and Mercury are in Aries now. The Sun is almost at the very end of Aries. And the moon, this full moon here on May 12th, is opposite at the last degrees of Libra. So what this means is that the harmonizing point, which is what all the full moons are, it's how our mind and consciousness are trying to harmonize and feel into the current soul lesson, which is where the Sun is. The Sun in Aries now is trying to liberate us from the confusion and delusion of the last several months with all those planets that went through Pisces. The Sun went into Aries, almost a month ago, and started to shine some light and try to want to move things forward. Then Mercury went into Aries about a week ago. Now we are harmonizing that Aries energy and that spirit of initiation with the Libra. Again, the overused word is balance, 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 right? Harmonizing is a better word because balance implies that Libra, especially Libra people, are like the most balanced, let's say. And again, I'm very honest about all the signs. Libra can in many ways be the most unbalanced in the sense that Libra is always sensing where things might be not harmonized. And so in order to test and see how harmonized, let's say, we are with other people, which is where the Libra energy really comes to bear, Libra people or Libra energy will often provoke and play the devil's advocate and sort of unbalance things or destabilize things in order to restabilize them later. This is a big Libra sort of habit. Like we all have a sort of shadow energy lurking in all of our natures. the kind of shadow energy of Libra is this, oh, I'm so balanced, I just want harmony, after I've destabilized and made it unharmonious or inharmonious. So now I can keep harmonizing something sometimes. And again, scales are always a little bit off, a little bit. 1 micron here, and we want to have 1 micron there again. So it's this nature of stabilizing and harmonizing is also the awareness that nothing is ever stable or in harmony. So again, this is also what Libra notices, is how everything might be a little bit unstable. So we're going to assertively or gently, because it's ruled by Venus, want to sort of gently harmonize everything. So Libra has this idea of like, well, that might be okay, but you just weren't nice enough. Or were you nice enough or friendly enough? And was it pretty enough? It could have been more pretty. It could have been nicer. Yes, you said what you wanted, but were you really nice? Could it have been nicer, better, prettier, or something like that? And again, instead of just leaving things with the way they are and saying, okay, well, that's just the equilibrium of the situation, because also there's a way to see how disorder and disharmony is also the nature of how things balance. For example, relationships are a good example. Relationships aren't necessarily fair, but they're balanced. We're trying to balance the unfairness, you might say. It might sound like a contradiction, but it's really not, because in any kind of agreement, something feels unfair, at least at given points in time. Well, I did this thing and you didn't do that thing back. So if we constantly are calling out every second that seems unfair, then we're going to be introducing disharmony rather than being able to see in a larger context how, I've always said, relationships are equally unfair to some extent. It's going to feel that way. And we have to get used, and we have to be able to exist within the perception or the awareness of something that's equally unfair to both, so to speak. So, everyone who's been in a successful relationship or notice moments where you allow things to pass and see that is also the harmony of things. The nature of things is, again, that nothing is literally always 1/1,000,000% equal. And so you learn to live with the parameters and the give and take and the inequities in aggregate overall, right? And again, many times the way we test that Libra energy is very much with other people, and not just romantically, but in all agreements. Again, all agreements are going to have a quality of unfairness on some level. But again, learning how to live with the bigger picture, not just the moment, is the real challenge. And this is also very important because of that Libra, of that Vishakha Nakshatra. All the nakshatras that come at the end of the signs, the ones that bridge to the next sign, and by the way, just to be very intentional about this, of course, Vedic astrology is based on the sidereal zodiac, not the vernal equinox. So you have 9 signs are bridged by these nakshatras, right? So you see the sun is in Kritika, which has the first part of it in Aries, and then the second part is in Taurus, right? So again, the nakshatra of Kritika is how Aries becomes Taurus, right? The nakshatra of Vishakha is how Libra becomes Scorpio. And so what this is doing is, again, this fork in the road and this choosing devotion over distraction, for example. This is also just symbolized in many ways by this Vishakha Nakshatra. That's what that graphic is indicating. Because Vishakha is like a fork, a branch, where we can go back to like trying to, be a sort of bean counter. This is what both Virgo and Libra have this negative quality where we can just be sort of bean counters, right? Every little detail with Virgo has to be perfect or else we're worried about it. Then with Libra, every little detail every little spoken word can create this disrespect if we're not careful, right? Instead, we have to have a higher altitude. And so again, as we get to the end of the signs, and with Vishakha Nakshatra, it's the end of Libra where it's becoming Scorpio and seeing a larger picture, a larger context, where we then have to examine our insecurities and look to a higher level of relating. Because Scorpio is a very, it's a much more ambitious sign. It's looking to make impact beyond just a personal, well, you did this and you did that, and to be able to play at a higher or at a, in a more emotionally impactful way beyond just the personal. So again, this is why it's very relevant to be looking at that kind of shadow side of Libra as well here. How, again, what can seem very, harmonizing or balancing is often, again, some of the most contrary. And, by the way, I have my moon in Libra, so I know a lot about Libra energy, and it can really be a thing where you're always looking at fairness and how nice someone was, and would I have done that? And was that really polite? And did they have to do, and constantly, in many ways, we're trying to sort of hold people to a certain standard that we have, right? With all of the astrological placements. When we get to Libra energy, again, it's always kind of, holding people to a level of fairness and politeness and manners. And you have to give it up to some extent with planets in Libra and have to see a larger context. Like, well, overall, relative to what they think is fair or what's fair overall or what's nice or polite, it's not so bad. And, I do the same thing at times. So, okay. And we start to get more, again, like more altitude into that energy rather than so, rather than micromanaging it so much. So in particular, this is important these days right now, because again, we also have been having this exchange between Venus and Jupiter since the end of January, and Jupiter is about to move into the next sign, into the sign of Gemini. And as you can see, and, I have here this, this web class that I'm doing. I'm actually doing it live on May 11th, which would be tomorrow morning Pacific time if you're watching this live, but you can get the recording, but you have to opt in to join it. To get it, I'll be doing it live, and there'll be intentions and meditations and other things to really set you up for the next year with Jupiter going through Gemini. And as it says, greater insight into your beliefs. This Jupiter in Gemini is very much about bringing the teacher and the guru and that energy of inspiration, meaning, and purpose into the very intelligent sign of Gemini, where we question our beliefs and we're willing to, look into our own biases and whatnot. If you're a member at the Oracle at the 5D level here at this website, you will get that also. It'll just be automatically uploaded, no opt-in required. But you also at the member site get daily forecasts, delivered each week, the Vedic week ahead, the daily week ahead in general, and you'll also get this full moon forecast for your sign. As it says here, there was a new moon in Aquarius, but every lunation, every new moon and full moon, the members get a update for what it means for your sign. So please also look at that and see how that may benefit you as well. When you click the join button below this video, you'll be allowed to become a member. Most join at the Oracle, $29.99 per month. That level gives you numerous forecasts each month, full moon and new moon forecasts, 2 weekly forecasts, both the regular forecast and the Vedic week ahead, as well as exclusive courses like the Planets and Signs course, Planets and Houses course, the 2025 meditation, and also monthly meditation. So check it out. Yeah, so again, a lot of people join and stay member for a long time. So again, this is about this full moon, though, in Libra, harmonizing the energy of Sun in Aries, Sun Mercury in Aries. And again, we're by the end of May, even in, within the next few weeks, we're going to have all of these planets pretty much out of Pisces and Taurus. There's going to be a huge shift by the time we're at the end of the month. So these next couple of weeks are really pivotal for this reset. That's why I say full moon reset, because it's very much going to be resetting by the time the moon comes around and we have the next new moon in Taurus. A lot of these shifts will have already happened. Jupiter will have already moved into Gemini, for example. Venus will be on the verge of going into Aries. And these other planets, the sun will then be in Taurus. So we're moving on from a lot of the kind of fog of a lot of this year. So since the end of January, we've been in this kind of Pisces fog, kind of like really needing to let go of a lot of things, surrender a lot of things. As you can see, the background where I'm at right now, this isn't the background that you've seen for years. It's because I'm in a different place. I'm letting go of a lot of things, and I'm in a temporary residence while my condo is being renovated as I'm selling it, right? So, and big changes in my life. And so, again, this is one of the reasons why there's been a break, as you noticed in my videos lately, but all in good time. We need to be able to let go of things and transition into the next thing. And again, the enthusiastic reset is what's happening right now. And I just dropped a link in the chat. Liz said, congrats. And she also said, I have Gemini first house with Jupiter and Mars. I'm feeling it. I also have the Gemini rising, and we've been feeling all of these shifts in our 10th house in our career. So again, I have so many videos where I've been saying since the beginning of this year, all this Pisces energy, having to let go of things that aren't really coming back. A certain aspect is gone. But letting go of things and things not coming back is just an aspect of life. It always has been. And again, if we're very attached to a lot of things, then that letting go is very hard. And it feels like things are getting taken from us. And then we can feel like a victim, and we can feel, and we make a big problem out of the natural flow of life where, again, we have to adjust, let go of certain things, and then that makes way for the next thing to come in, right? You can't grow if you don't want to let go of anything. And this is often what happens with me constantly. People they say they want to learn, or they want to know, or they want to, they'll get a reading and, what's coming next. But then they don't want to let go of anything. But I have this, I have this, I have this. Now, tell me how I can grow into a new person. Well, first, you got to let go of something. Something's not working, or else you wouldn't be asking about it. There's some energy that's stuck. And surrender is one of the first things we have to do. But surrender feels like losing. It feels like loss. And again, these are big Pisces themes, and they're not easy. And again, they're also not black and white, because again, I've had to let go of a lot of things. And like everyone, I resist, because there's a lot of things about the big changes that have happened with me that have been emotionally, hard to some level to let go of. I love the place I live. I still love San Diego, but I love my condo. I didn't necessarily leave because I wanted to, but I was okay with it. But there are circumstances changing that I can't control, and I have to be able to let go of certain things. So it's not like it's easy. It's bittersweet, but that's part of life, is letting go of people and relationships that you had affection for and that you loved, but now it just doesn't work anymore. And we realize that. It doesn't make it easy. Doesn't mean, and by the way, these are also huge themes right now with this Libra full moon. A lot of the letting go is also really getting real, and a lot of the reset is this kind of letting go even of connections, relationships that have worn out their welcome. Because again, especially since we've just gone through all this Pisces energy, and we've purged a lot, and Venus has been in Pisces like the whole time, with Saturn and Rahu exchanging with Jupiter. Again, I've been saying these things for months now about this Parivartana Yoga, this exchange. Venus in Pisces with Rahu is already about letting go of and transforming our relationships, and the relationship that we have with others and whatnot. That's already a part of all of this. And, you know, by the way, I was doing a lot of readings. I even got a little behind because of other unexpected things, like I had a major tooth issue. I had a whole bunch of things come up that have been setting me back a little bit. And by the way, if you did want to also have me look into your relationships, you can get a 30-minute assessment. You can go to relationshipastrology.net and check that out. I'll also drop a link. But again, this Venus Libra reset is on the next level of, you know, moving on from where we've been stuck. And again, it's been a challenge, a big part of this year, to navigate the things that we've needed to let go of and all that stuff. But the energy is moving. It's passing now. Is it passing you by? The wheels of time can just pass you by, or you can be riding those wheels. You know, one of the things I've been revisiting is, you know, music is so important to me. And maybe you've had a real kind of sentimental reconnection with some of your past. You can see behind me, with some of the music of your past, or some of the, you know, the music of your youth that you really love. You know, with me, some of the rock music that I really loved, I've been revisiting. I always listen to it, but one of my favorite bands is Rush, and I just recently went back and listened to one of their albums. There's actually a guy online. There are people who do these listens, you know, like their first take, like they listen to it and you observe it through their eyes. And the song called Between the Wheels, which was always one of my favorite songs off one of their more obscure albums. And the lyrics are so profound, and it really reminds me of what's happening now, where, you know, it says, you know how that rabbit feels going under your spinning wheels. You know how that rabbit feels going under your spinning wheels. Bright images flashing by like windshields toward the flies hitting your windshield, and then frozen in that fatal climb. But the wheels of time just pass you by. It's like that. It's a pre-chorus. And I mean, Rush, their lyrics were so profound. They're incredibly poetic. And by the way, this was 1984. These guys were writing this stuff. But the whole thing is about, it could be very applicable today of what they're talking about in this song. And letting go of certain things. You know, wheels can take you around. Wheels can cut you down. You know, and it's that kind of thing right now, as we've been grinding through these Pisces and this Pisces energy, challenging us to let go of the things we can't control, and certain aspects of life that are not coming back again, as I've said for months now. Doesn't make it easy, because we're attached. We have sentimental attachment to things and people that we had invested in. You know, like I thought, you know, when I moved here and had my beautiful condo, I thought I'd live here forever. But I also imagined I'd live here forever with someone who I would meet and share it with and all that. Well, it didn't play out like that. So there's part of that I'm sentimental about, and I'm emotional about. But you can't wallow in things. That's just life. It's, you know, I honor the beauty of what it has been on that level, and nothing is forever. You know, you could come back another time or another way or whatever. But this is always the passage of time, is where we're both looking forward and looking back, but we're in the present. So in the present, this is what it is. And so there's no need to bypass any of it. There's no need to pretend things aren't what they are. But now, and as these things have moved forward, I'm moving forward, we're all moving forward. So where you can find yourself in this dance is where are you at right now with moving forward into that next phase? John Villalobos, great guitar player, Neil Peart was a great lyricist. Man, if you know the song, John, Between the Wheels, it's off Grace Under Pressure. Yeah, I mean, you can just read his lyrics and they're amazing. But Between the Wheels is one of the more, there are great Rush songs that are iconic that everybody mentions, and you don't usually hear Between the Wheels mentioned in that same category. of famous songs by Rush, Tom Sawyer, Limelight, some of those more famous ones. Between the Wheels deserves to be right there. I mean, it's incredible song. But we're all at the same point right now where wheels have been grinding us. We've kind of felt like that rabbit going under the spinning wheels. Part of our life, even if we're not the entire rabbit going under the spinning wheels or the windshield toward the flies. Maybe we're not the rabbit with the wheel is running over, but part of our life has gotten run over like a rabbit under the spinning wheels. And it's really funny because when that song came out, I was in a band and we used to practice. This is when I lived in Maryland, and I was in this band. It was a full-time band that played out a lot, and we practiced on the eastern shore of Maryland. And I had to drive over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge at night often, which is a really scary bridge. And then the guy, where we practiced lived. It's an area called Kent Island, and it's quite rural. And it was awful because these roads were paved through very, much living like forests and stuff. And man, almost every time I would drive home from practice, I would hit a damn rabbit. And you can't imagine how awful it feels hitting a rabbit. And you see the rabbit. I don't want to cry. Oh my God, it used to be so traumatizing. The rabbit would run into the road, and then they would see your headlights. And if the rabbit would keep running, it would just cross the road and you wouldn't hit it. But the rabbit would come into the road, and then it would start trying to outrun your car. And then you're trying to not hit the rabbit. And it's darting back and forth because rabbits run side to side when they're avoiding predators. So if you'd see the rabbit like literally 50 feet ahead of me, and I'm like, okay, there's a rabbit, like just keep running across the road. But it wouldn't. It would stop and then try to outrun you, trying to outrun your headlights, but then it's darting from side to side. It won't even get in the other lane. It's like, and then I'm trying to not run over the rabbit. And sometimes the roads are slick. I almost wrecked my truck like 2 or 3 times trying to not hit a damn rabbit on these slickened roads. And then you hear this boom, and you're like, oh my God. And that song came out while that was happening in my life. It was like, oh, you know how that rabbit feels going under your spinning wheels? I'm like, yeah, I do. I hit rabbits like twice a week. Oh my God. Anyway, a little personal aside, but it's like part of our life has gotten crushed and run over. And again, even just like that story, you got to just keep going, Part of our life's gotten run over. John says, I'm one of those weirdos who really likes Caress of Steel. I'm the same way. Caress of Steel is great. We're not going to go up on a Rush thing here, but I was just talking about music. I was listening to Panacea, all these songs off Caress of Steel, and No One at the Bridge, and what's that, Bacchus Plateau. We're getting deep into Rush, deep cuts here, but yeah, give me that and The Necromancer and all that. Anyway, but someone says, why can't you bloody drive slower? Are you kidding me? I'm not even going to honor this. I just explained anyway. Always a critic. So this is what you get online right now. I talk about damn near wrecking my car to avoid hitting a rabbit, and someone says this. Anyway, so I don't want this to be too indulgent here at the end, but we're all looking at certain aspects of life that have gotten kind of run over. But as it says, wheels can take you around, wheels can cut you down because we're on the wheel. And wheels of time, wheels of karma are all what we have, whether we know it or not. And let's hope that those wheels are turning in your favor these days. They're definitely tricky, and these are very tricky times. And I hope this was helpful. And again, I also really recommend you go to this webpage, jupiterwebinar.com, to get the free web class, Jupiter and Gemini, what it means for you, because he's about to change and move into Gemini, where he's going to be for the next year. So again, if you're Aries, that's going to be third house energy. And if you're Pisces, it's fourth house energy. This is completely different, even though it's going to be Jupiter in Gemini, the guru in that place of intelligence and discrimination. He's going to be in a different sign and a different, house. And this is going to affect you very much. So anyway, you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you on the Jupiter in Gemini web class.
When you click the join button below this video, you'll be allowed to become a member. Most join at the Oracle $29.99 per month. That level gives you numerous forecasts each month, full moon and new moon forecasts, 2 weekly forecasts, both the regular forecast and the Vedic week ahead, as well as exclusive courses like the Planets and Signs course, Planets and...
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel.